Good morning. How is everybody today? Let me know that you can hear me. I just want to make sure. Okay, just want to make sure that everything is cooperating in terms of microphone. It's hiding in here this morning. Good morning, everybody. We ready to do some more learning today? How was everybody's evening? I went home and did some embroidery. So at least I was able to sit and put my feet up while the machine was working hard. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We're gonna spend a little bit of time this morning talking about how to embroider on towels and really any fabric that has any sort of nap to it. So velvet, cuddle, minky, terry cloth, towels, even denim and or PK polo shirts in terms of that. So we will be headed there. We've got a few samples to show you and a couple of things. Good morning, everybody. All right. Let's see, a couple more minutes, about another minute. Let everybody catch up and get in here. Let me see if I can tag somebody that was looking for. All right. Good morning. Yes. Nice fall morning. The sun was out. Chilly, but not too chilly. So that was always a good thing. At least no rain yet. I need some sunshine. All right. Let's get talking about towels. Okay. So we're going to talk about, like I said, we're going to talk about machine embroidery on towels. The towels are a good beginner project for the most part. They can be very easy to stitch because a lot of times we take embroidery on towels and we usually put a monogram on it. We put letters, things along that lines, usually not too terribly intricate designs do we put on towels. They can be quick to complete and it works as a great gift, and it's always something that will fit somebody. So it's very easy to do for the most part, as long as you follow these simple steps. And really, embroidery on towels comes to choosing the right design and making sure that you use the right stabilizer. Okay. First, we're just going to talk about thread for a second. And as you know, we are Isacord thread junkies here at this store. It really is my absolute favorite thread in the world to embroider with. It is a 40 weight polyester, okay, available in a lot of colors. And you would think that 423 colors would be enough, but I still find that we're missing a few shades that I wouldn't mind having. So I would have thought that I wouldn't need any more thread, but and the important thing with Isacord is there's no dye lots. And so what a dye lot means is if you start a project with thread color 1902, that spool that you've had for maybe 2 or 3 years, you will be able to come by a new spool of 1902 and the colors will match. Okay, they'll coordinate, they won't be any different in color, and that will match. So that's one good part. Okay, is that you don't have to worry about making sure that if you're going to start a project that's going to require multiple spools, that you come by all those spools at once. The other thing is that Isacord is color fast and bleach resistant. Okay, it means that you can hang it up in the sun and it's not going to fade, and you can throw it in the washing machine and it's with some bleach and it's not going to change color. So that is, to me, is huge, especially for towels, something that is going to be washed a lot and could possibly be bleached if it's a white towel in that aspect. So if you're looking here on the screen, the first picture here in the middle is brand new, stitched. Both the top is stitched in a polyester thread and the bottom, the word rayon, is stitched in rayon thread. And you can see on the right hand side, after it is laundered and it was bleached while it was laundered, the polyester is still the same color, the Isacord, and the rayon thread has actually changed color. Okay, so if you're not using Isacord, you may want to stitch yourself a little sample and bleach it in the wash, especially if you're going to be doing like a white towel or something along that lines, or on a white shirt, to make sure that it's going to hold up and continue to be that color after it's been washed. Okay, we also find, I personally also find rayon is a little more fragile. Definitely cannot be stitched at the same speed that you can stitch Isacord at. Okay, and because of its fragileness or fragility, and I also think it's very slippery. I'm not a fan of rayon. It's too, some of the rayon threads are way too shiny for my liking, and the fact that I can't guarantee that it's going to stay the same color. Some of you may have remember an event, and I tried to look for the pictures and images, and I'm probably just going to have to embroider a pair of jeans myself and do this. We had at an event, we had a pair of black jeans that were embroidered with Isacord, and each leg was embroidered, and one leg was dunked in bleach or bleach splattered. And you could see that the Isacord kept its color, and the only thing that lost color against that bleach was denim. Okay, and it's always fun to bleach black denim because you never know what color is going to come out when you bleach black denim. Because if you kind of they take all colors of things to make black ink or black dye, and you can take any color base in terms of base fabric and dye it black. So you can bleach a pair of black jeans and they could be red underneath, they could be blue, they could be white. There's no guarantee with black jeans that you're going to end up with white when you bleach them. So it's always a little bit of a mystery. Could be a little fun side experiment. Okay, so that is one thing that you need to think about when you're choosing embroidery thread and things like that, is the end result. Okay, how is somebody going to be using this, washing it, cleaning it, just to make sure that your stabilizer and thread and all of that hold up. Okay, so after you've got your thread, we need to pick a design. Okay, so most commonly on towels, we go to monograms, lettering, frames, things along that lines. Not every style of monogram or font is going to be the best choice for a towel. And it depends upon the type of towel. So for example, the word diva over there written in the initial style font, even the Heritage Creations Classic monograms, luxurious monograms in the bottom, and then the classic florals are probably not going to be the best letter choices for a high fluff bath towel. Okay, because what can happen is basically, even using the proper stabilizers and toppers and all that, once it's embroidered, the outer fluff, the fluff around where you've put your monogram, can overtake the embroidery, and it kind of disappears and sinks in and it's hard to see. So you need to think about, if you're using a really thick, high lofty towel, is that monogram and that embroidery design beefy enough to hold up to the nap? And so don't red work designs are not good designs for fluffy towels. Okay, so red work are like single stitched outline designs because they're just going to disappear into the nap and never to be seen again. Okay, so think about what design you're going to do, and embroidery designs, and I have a couple samples that we will I'll show here. So for example here, let me get that camera changed. Okay, so these are not letters, okay? They are snowflakes. This towel is just an inexpensive hand towel. It's not overly fluffy, okay? That type of thing. So this would be, for the most part, some things are gonna work. So these two snowflakes are going to be fine. They're going to stand up to the fluff, even if what pokes out from in between the fluff you'll still be able to see the snowflake. This snowflake, probably not so much. On this towel, it's going to be okay because, like I said, this is a really short, thin pile towel. But on a thicker, fluffier piece of toweling, anything like that, this is probably going to disappear and not really give the visual effect that you're looking for. And I hate for you to do all the work and it not show. Yes, polar fleece has the same thing. So if the design is too thin, it will sink into the polar fleece like quicksand. So you want to, and if you're, unsure, I have a towel, this towel here that this snowflake is on. It's got things on both ends so that I can demonstrate on. So you can take an old towel or, if you get a good deal, you can buy an extra towel and embroider on it. And if it doesn't work, you just keep it to test designs with. Okay. So that is just one thing to think about. Okay. Now, the next thing that after you have found your design is going to be a challenge of figuring out, am I going to hoop it or not hoop it? Okay. And that truly is the ultimate question, because towels can be thick and can be a challenge to hoop. You know that the ultimate success in embroidery is if you can get it in the hoop, you really should get it in the hoop. Okay. By getting it in between the two rings of the hoop, you've really added the greatest amount of support that you can to the fabric. You're going to help cut down on puckering and things along that lines. But sometimes those towels are just thick. You get it in the hoop, and the moment you pick it up and get it to the machine, that inside ring pops out and bad words come out of your mouth because you've already worked a sweat up getting it into the hoop and working to get it straight and straight and so that it embroiders straight. So we have the option to do what we call floating. So we would put stabilizer in the hoop, and then we would either use a sticky stabilizer, that is pre-sticky that we peel the paper off of, or we use a temporary spray adhesive, and then we lay the towel on top and smooth it. Okay. Now, for those of you that have machines that have basting boxes, if you are going to float, whether you are floating a towel or a piece of cotton, period, you should put a basting box in. Okay. If you don't have a machine that has a basting box feature built in, you can go to your machine on the sewing side and put on a foot and baste right around the inside perimeter of the hoop, okay, on the sewing machine. Straight stitch with the stitch length as high as it can be. and baste your towel to the hoop and the stabilizer. One that's going to help it to not move, okay, and give it a little bit more security for embroidery, okay, because it's heavy. A towel can be heavy, and so even this pressure sensitive stabilizers and spray adhesive, I mean, they're tacky, but picking it up and walking across the room, you can still get some shift to it. So once you have hooped your or floated your design or hooped your stabilizer, we will, I'll talk about that in a minute. So let's talk about what stabilizers we can use, okay? Let's talk about that first. So Ultra Clean and Tear Plus, okay? This is a fairly new stabilizer. It is considered a medium weight, tear away, and wash away. And you're thinking, what are you talking about, Amy? So the adhesive coating that's on this stabilizer, that makes it a plus, okay? So remember, if the stabilizer has the word plus or the word stick in it, it is usually got a pressure sensitive adhesive on it. So Ultra Clean and Tear Plus, I have some here that I will show you, has a, oops, let me get that out of the way before it falls again. A water soluble adhesive coating on it. It is what I would call, it's not real sticky. It's not overly sticky, which is kind of what I like, is that it's tacky enough to hold your project while you get it hooped and basted, okay? But it can be easily removed, because you all know that Ultra Clean and Tear, it tears very easily, and it will disintegrate after washing, okay? So it may take a couple of washings, but eventually it will tear away as well. Eventually tears away initially and will eventually wash out. And for the most part, the back of a towel or something like that, you don't need to, you don't want to see a lot of stabilizers, so you would not be using a cutaway, because a cutaway stabilizer isn't going to allow you to, remove all of it. So you definitely want a stabilizer that you can remove everything so that you can't see it. The other most common stabilizer that most of us use is going to be Aquamesh. Okay, so Aquamesh completely dissolves. There's no residue left behind, provided you completely wash it. Okay, so if you just kind of cut it away and spray it with a water bottle trying to make it disappear, it's not really going to completely dissolve. It will dissolve from the visible eye, but the residue will stay until you completely submerge and rinse it. Just like this is the same stuff that we use for freestanding lace, okay? So you need to give it a good wash, okay, and then it will disappear. If you are not, if you're embroidering towels and your intent is to not wash them before you give them away, you just trim the excess stabilizer as much as you can, and they're probably going to wash the towels before they use them, and they're never probably going to even notice that it was on the back and that it disappeared. So if I make a towel, I just trim this down as close as I can around the outside perimeter of the design and then go with it. This is not sticky, okay? So if you were to use this, you're going to have to, and not hoop your towel, you will have to use a sticky spray adhesive to make it tacky. The tacky Aquamesh is called Aquamesh Plus, okay? So the Aquamesh Plus is got a piece of water soluble, pressure sensitive adhesive on the back, okay? You would load this in your hoop, paper side up, and then remove the paper and then stick your item to it, okay? And then again, you're gonna wanna easily rinse it out with warm water. With the tacky stabilizers, the Aquamesh Plus, if you use Stable Stick Tearaway or anything like that, you really, really don't want to pull back along that stabilizer. You need to do it very carefully because it's sticky and it can hold on to some of those loops in your towel and pull on them. So you really want to be very cautious when removing those sticky stabilizers if you're trying to trim away the excess, that you don't pull a run in your particular towel. Now, those are the ones that, those three right there would be three that I would choose to use on the back side of a towel. We now have to put something on top of the towel. This is on top of where the embroidery is going to go. And we have to use it to keep the texture of the towel from poking through the embroidery. Okay, and I'm going to show you a difference, and you don't think it makes a huge difference, but it does. So Stitch 2.0, okay, is the new product. Some of you, if you've been embroidering a while, may have aqua film in your stash, and that works just as well. The Stitch 2.0 has been given a little bit of a texture so that it doesn't stick to the metal feet of the of your metal presser foot, specifically on the Berninas. So we would take a piece of Stitch 2.0, cut it larger than our embroidery design. Okay, so I usually use a piece that's going to fill the hoop, because what's going to happen is the machine is going to stitch into this and it is going to shrink. And you don't want it to be shrink to be too small, so that then the outer portion of your design won't have any topping. Going too small, your presser foot can get wrapped in it. So it's much better just to cut a piece that fits the entire field of embroidery and go with it. Okay, I would put this down before you run your basting boxes, and that will help hold it in place and kind of prevent some of the shrinkage from embroidery. I see questions and I will come back and answer them once I get to that point. The Stitch 2.0 perforates when you've embroidered, so it can easily tear away the excess. Okay, you want to tear away as much as you can. Again, if you're not intending to wash your project before you give it, you can take a wet paper towel or a wet pressing cloth or wet old t-shirt, lay it over top of the design and press with a warm iron. Lift that towel or piece of fabric, move it to a new wet clean section and press again, and continue doing that until you feel that it's not sticking, the pressing sheet is not sticking to your embroidery, and then you will have dissolved all those little nooks and crannies from inside smaller designs and things like that. So that'll be a quick way to remove it from the visual eye, especially if you don't want to wash the project because you have to give the gift in 10 minutes. You're leaving the house in 10 minutes. And so this is a quick way to remove that stabilizer. Now, another new product recently, it's probably about a year old. It's been around a while. It's called Heat to Go, and I'm going to demonstrate it for you today. But again, used as a clear topper, easily removes. This is great for using on fabrics that are moisture sensitive, fabric that you don't want to run under water. Okay, velvet, wool, things along that lines that would be dry clean only. That type of thing. So basically what we do is we use this just like we use Stitch 2.0, but when we're done, we preheat the iron to a cotton setting, use the tip of the iron to kind of go back and forth over the heat to go, and then it will pretty much ball up, and then you just brush it away. Okay, it doesn't stick to the plate of your iron. It just kind of curls up on itself and disappears. So I will demonstrate that on a design that I just finished stitching this morning, that I will show you the Heat to Go and how that disappears. It's pretty cool. So we've hooped stabilizer, but now that we got to get your item in the hoop, and you've kind of it's sticky. You can't really use a template and try to get things lined up. So if you've used Aquamesh, you can just draw your lines directly on the Aquamesh. If you are using sticky stabilizer, which you would have loaded in the hoop paper side up, you're going to score the inside circle to remove the paper. And then on the back side of the hoop, you can draw your vertical and horizontal centering lines. Then you can use those to help you align your project. Okay, it's that's how you work with it since you have already put it in the hoop. Okay. Now, marking stuff that has a fuzzy surface can be extremely challenging because, you know, markers and pens and chalk aren't really going to stick to it. It's going to be hard to get a line, one that's straight because the nap kind of wobbles, and to be able to see it. Use a low pressure tape, low residue tape like painter's tape. Okay, you can use that to stick to your towel. Now what I'm showing here is in the lower corner, you see the crosshair, and in the upper right hand corner, what we do is we offset the edge of the painter's tape to one line. So it's not like the center of the painter's tape is our center. So this here, this edge of the painter's tape is lined up with the line, and this edge of the painter's tape is lined up with the other line, so that where that arrow is pointing is actual center. Okay, so I would use that to mark. We can use thumbtacks on the underside of your hoop to stick a thumbtack up through the center, and then that kind of gives you a location as to stick your towel down on top of. Okay. All right. That's that. Myself on track here. If you are embroidering a stretchy fabric that has a nap, okay, velvets, polar fleeces, cuddle, minky, a sweater, okay, knit sweaters, you're going to need to use a stabilizer that is a cutaway, okay? It needs to stay on the back of your design forever, okay? Remember, stretchy fabric needs cutaway. No matter if you're with a nap, without a nap, that's just a general rule. If it stretches, it gets cutaway. You can either use polymesh or fusible polymesh on this project for your cutaway. And we're going to use Stitch 2.0, or you could use Heat to Go on top. And we recommend like a ballpoint needle to embroider on these knit fabrics, these stretchy knits. Polymesh is probably one of my favorite lightweight, medium weight cutaway fabric, cutaway stabilizers. I use it on pretty much all my knits and that type of thing. I use it in a lot of in the hoop projects that call for cutaway stabilizer because it's not stiff and it's not thick, but it's going to add a little body. Great choices for baby garments because it's soft, okay? And it will hold up your embroidery stitches, will stay beautiful and pretty after multiple washings, okay? Black, white, and beige. Use the color that best shows through your blends into either your skin tone or into the project to help prevent shadow through. And fusible polymesh is the same thing, except one side of it has a lightweight fusible on it. So I like this a lot for shirts, because for t-shirts and stuff, because if you fuse your knit to the fusible, it really can't shift and wobble, okay? You've truly secured it in place and it's not going to move on you to prevent shift. So I use a lot of fusible polymesh if I'm embroidering on t-shirts, okay? A little bit about velvet, just because it does have a nap and a couple of things. You should never, ever, ever hoop velvet, okay? If you hoop velvet and you get velvet between the two rings of the hoop, you're probably going to do what we call hoop burn. Okay. So hoop burn is basically it crushes the velvet around the outside edge of the fabric, but where it's caught between the two hoops because of the extra pressure. Okay. And sometimes you can get rid of hoop burn if it's the item's washed, but velvet shouldn't be washed. Okay, true velvet shouldn't be washed. So you can't get rid of it. Okay, so when you are embroidering velvet, you want to use a sticky stabilizer. Okay, lay it on top and attach it. Use heat to go as your topping, and then use your basting boxes to keep it in place. Okay. Now, let's look at a couple of examples here, and then I will go back with questions. Okay. So, this design, okay, placed on the, back that out a little bit. Placed on the towel. I used a piece of tearaway on the underside. I've torn away as much as I can. I'm not going to fiddle too much with all this stuff in the side because after a few washings, that will disappear. If you have thread jump stitches or thread tails, you can clip them. You do not want to clip them flush with the back of the towel, okay? Clipping flush will probably cause you to clip your knot that has secured that thread in place. So when you clip, you want to leave, 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch of a tail there, okay? And honestly, if it's the back of the towel and you have a jump stitch that's not terribly long, I would honestly leave it. Now, this was embroidered on the Bernina 880, so I had it clipping my jump stitches, so that's why I have all these extra thread tails. If they weren't clipped, they would be basically straight across, running across the design, and then I could clip those and leave about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch. For aqua film, okay, this is aqua film. It's clear. It's what I have a giant roll of. Okay, the Stitch 2.0, I didn't have a roll of that here, so it kind of looks like Saran wrap. It's not the same as Saran wrap. Don't use Saran wrap from the kitchen. Okay, it's a little bit thicker. Okay, and when I'm done, it's pretty much perforated to the point that I can just pull off the extra. Okay. This is extra. I'm going to pull this off. You can throw it away if you want. You can keep larger, like I would probably trim this off and keep this rectangle that's right here, because that could work on a smaller monogram. It could probably even work on another one of these. And I would get rid of the other side. And this section in here, I would not worry about. I see another thread. I would not worry about pulling out. This would come out in the wash, or I could lay a wet paper towel over top and iron to remove it. Okay. And I forgot to grab a wet paper towel to show that, but I think you understand the concept. Now you can see that the nap of the towel stays where it is. It's beautiful and gorgeous. This is what happens if you don't use aqua film. Okay. It's the same design stitched on the other end of the towel, and only thing I did was not use a topper. Okay, so what happens with the stitching is the towel, the loops of the towel don't stay where they belong. They end up causing the stitching to spread. The loops end up poking out of the embroidery. Okay, so one simple step, okay, that really costs you pennies, okay, makes a whole big difference in what the design looks like. Okay. The same here. This was when I first started embroidering. Okay. I thought, oh, well, it's got a nap, but it's really not that, to me, I was thinking bath towel, big, fluffy, furry stuff. Well, I thought, oh, this little bib, he's fine. He's not that nappy. He doesn't need anything. My ladybugs are growing fur. Okay. So even if you don't think it's nappy or fuzzy, it's not going to hurt for you to lay a piece of Aquafilm Stitch 2.0 or Heat to Go on top of something. It is better safe than sorry. Okay. No, I do not match my bobbin thread. Okay. So on a towel, I just use white, or I will put a color in that matches the towel, which I'll show you here in a second. So, that makes a huge difference in this design. Okay. Now, the question was bobbin. Okay. So these towels, again, standard bath towel. This towel's got texture to it, not only in the nap, but it's also got the lines in the nap. Okay. So I have a tendency, there is a right and wrong side to embroidery. Okay. There's no way to make it with regular embroidery designs. It's not really meant to be reversible per se. You could take the time and wind a bobbin for every one of these thread colors and change it and make the reverse side not quite as, big giant white blob on the back of a towel in your face. But to me, that's way too much work. You can still tell there is a right and a wrong side to this embroidery. But what I typically do is I will match my bobbin thread to the color of my towel. Okay. So even with, you're still going to see that it is the wrong side of the embroidery, but, on a black towel, you're not going to see this giant white bobbin blob in the back of your white towel. Okay. Now, if I was monogramming and it was a single color monogram, yes, I will put a bobbin in that matches my top thread color, that type of thing. But if I'm embroidering, multicolored designs per se, I'm going to typically will match my top thread to my bobbin. My top thread I will match my bobbin to my towel color. Okay. So this had white. Yesterday, I just embroidered, not that one, because that one we were working on a machine. It was just white, okay? And some of the sections I was using to empty bobbins. So this had a gray bobbin in it here, and this was a white bobbin. So it's really your choice. When it comes to stitching things like recipe towels, see these little tiny words, these little tiny letters, okay? Let me see. 1/4 of an inch tall. I would match my bobbin thread to the thread color of this lettering. Okay? It's not uncommon, as small, tiny, itty bitty bitty that satin stitching is. I mean, that's about a 1/16 of an inch wide right there, that satin stitching. So you can get bobbin thread coming to the top, so in small lettering. So you will want to match your top thread to your bobbin. Some of you may have your gold bobbin cases that you can use to increase bobbin tension. I would test it. It may still need adjustment, but you can see that my bobbin thread, and I did not clean up the underside of this, matched to the white. Okay, that's there. On this one, we did the same thing. Okay, So when we stitched the regular portion of the designs, we just used a neutral color bobbin thread. But when we switched over to the recipe portion of it, we switched to black. Okay. Now, if you are not so lucky to have a machine that clips your jump threads, okay, and buries them, or remember, if you clip your jump threads and bury them, that all those little tails end up on the back. Okay, so it's, you know, it's a catch-22. Nothing is going to give you a beautiful front and a beautiful back at the same time, because those thread tails have to go somewhere. Okay, so what can help you clip these jump stitches are a couple of things. This here is a pair of scissors from OESD called the Perfect Snip. It has a hook on one end that will allow you to hook underneath of a small jump stitch and clip. Okay, then your next thing is, once you have these short tails, it's hard to get your hand in there and hold on to it to be able to clip, because tension is going to help you clip closer. Then you're going to want to get a pair of tweezers and hold on to that thread tail and clip as well, so that you don't leave any of those little, because if I did this and then I tried to clip here, you're probably going to have a little tiny fuzzy tail there that will be challenging to really be able to cut flush. So a pair of tweezers is going to be helpful at holding tension to that, so that you can clip as close to the fabric as possible. Okay, so the other pair, you can also use a pair of just regular curved scissors, okay, that you can get underneath of. It's just, you have, for me, I like the hook because I can push against it and clip, okay, but either type of scissor is going to work. So that's an OESD. These are OESD scissors. Let me find what I did. There it is. Let me put these back together. The OESD scissor set has the standard double curve squizzers, and then you have a pair of micro tweezers. For those that may have the Kimberbell scissor set, okay, so in the Kimberbell scissor set, you have that, you have a pair of squizzers, okay, so you could use that to get underneath. You also have a pair of micro tip scissors, okay, so micro tip scissors have the end of the scissor goes down to being small, so you can use the end of that scissor to get up underneath. And then in the OESD, the Kimberbell set, you also have a pair of tweezers that you can use to hold and clip as well. Okay, I feel like a surgeon tying sutures with multiple tools. So those are going to be helpful at clipping your jump stitches if you're not fortunate enough to have a machine that does it for you, or if you do have a machine that does it for you and you want the back to be cleaner. So for me on this, I would not be clipping these stitches that are on the back. Okay, they stay. The only stitches that I would clean up on, the only scissors that I would clean up with the scissors, the only threads I would clean up would be these long ones. And again, I would just clip them to about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch long, but I would leave that together on the back. Okay. So that's your perfect snips. Those are your scissors that I would use for a jump stitches on towels. Now, let me show you. So I have a waffle weave towel, okay? So waffle weave towels don't really have any nap, but they do have a texture, okay? They have that, you know, in and out and up and down kind of texture, okay? So this is also going to need some film on top of it. It's going to need a topper to help keep everything level and on a level surface, because you don't want part of your letter to stitch on top and then part of it to sink into the waffle of the towel. Okay. So this towel here, okay, the first thing that I did was I marked right on the one of the lines of the waffle, okay, and I used that to hoop with, okay. And for my ladies that have pinpoint placement, I pinpointed my placement so that I could make sure, look how well that word stitches right on that line. It is a beautiful thing. So that I can make sure that the design sits straight on the waffle pattern, okay, because that's important, because otherwise it could be a little visual for you. I used a basting box, okay, to hold my towel down to my stabilizer. I'm tearing out my basting. So the question being that earlier was, yes, you can use wash away thread in your bobbin, okay, or you can use it on top when you are stitching a basting box, okay, and then you can iron when you iron over it with a wet paper towel, or you iron over it with a or you wash it, that basting box will disappear, and then you don't have to spend time picking that basting box out. Okay, so I used, on this towel, I used heat to go. Okay, one, because I finished stitching it here and I want to just put it up on display. I don't have time to wash it. Okay, I will use a wet paper towel to get rid of my blue water soluble marking. Okay, I'll spray it. I just want to get rid of this bobbin thread or my basting box. I used Ultra Clean and Tear Plus, so I could tear away my excess. I have a very hairy back that will need to be trimmed because of my jump stitch cutting. But you know what? You hang it up high and you don't intend to use it, it'll be okay. I will tell you where this design came from. Give me 1 second. So let me change cameras because I want to show you. So because I don't want to wash this towel, I use the heat to go. Okay. And therefore I can take an iron to it. Okay. So one, I'm not going to iron anywhere right this second near my blue line, because ironing the blue line could heat set it. Okay. So I'm just going to iron this one little corner. I'm going to take my iron here and I'm just going to basically go over this design. If I had kept my iron hot, so give me, so 1 second while my iron heats up, because I've talked too much. This design came from the third collection of OESD's holiday celebration. Okay, so there are 2 actual designs like this on the towel. They are 5.5 by 9. So my Bernina owners, that's a mega hoop, mega maxi hoop design that you can use. Okay. All right, let's get the iron hot here. There we go. Now we're hot. So I'm just going to iron over, and you may not be able to see it, but you can see that it's starting to curl up on itself. Okay. And we just brush it away. get too close to my blue line because I don't want to be sad when it doesn't come out. Okay, but you can see that it's basically a little bit more ironing. It just balls up and disappears. So the same thing for like, this was heat to go as well. And it's gone. Okay, you can see it's inside of here. And now it's gone. Yes, so this design, so now you can see, it's all the heat to go is gone and disappeared, and I didn't have to add water. Yes, this design is the free collection. You spend $79 in the design in OESD and you get it free. For my Spree Club owners, you have this in your Spree collection, in your November, or the one you got last month or this month. Yeah, it would be November's. You picked it up at the end of October, and this collection is in it. So this coordinates with the last 2 months. So we had the lace designs, and remember we had lace Mr. and Mrs. Claus. Well, these designs are now embroidery, okay? We had the lace tree, and so these would be stitched onto cotton fabric, onto a t-shirt, a towel. You could do anything you wanted with them. So these are standard, what I would call standard embroidery, okay, designs. So there are 35 designs in the collection. That snowflake is in there as well, okay, that I embroidered. So this snowflake is on that CD. This design is on here. There is a border. There's also a corner that matches this. So if you wanted to do napkins or a runner, that's also on this. I gotta find the perfect thing for this. This is a snowflakes. So it's kind of straight across the top and it looks like snowflakes falling. Not a great design. Sorry, something in my eye. Not a great design for a towel because of how delicate it is, but I think it would be beautiful. Okay, let me go back and look at questions. So give me 1 second. The blue line, I'm gonna make disappear with water. So I'm gonna go spray, once I get all of as much of the heat to go off, I'm then gonna go spray with water to make it disappear. So that's, but you don't wanna iron over blue line because you could heat set it. Miss Ellen asked if I could print the presentation. Maybe I will go and put all my Breakfast Club slide presentations up on my website, and I will let you know when I get that done. It may be a little bit, but I'll put it on my list. Maybe while I'm on vacation, I'll sit with the computer in my lap and do that. Okay, I talked about bobbin thread. I matched it to the towel, or just make it white, depending. I don't sell just the case, Miss Dana. That the OESD one comes packaged with the scissors, and so does the Kimberbell one. They were there. All right. Yes, if you guys would open your Spree Clubs, you'd know what was in it. But yes, you have all of the holiday collections come as part of Spree Club. But yes, Miss Sarah, I can send you that package. I used heat to go on top of the waffle towel, only because I wasn't going to wash it. I want to be able to hang it right up out here for you to see. And I didn't want to. That is a lot of extra water soluble topping to remove with a towel. So that's why I opted for the heat. Now, if I was at home and I was embroidering this for my kitchen, I would have used water soluble and just threw the towel in the washing machine. Okay. Now, if it's a 100% cotton towel, I highly suggest you wash the towel first, okay? Because cotton towels do have shrinkage. So you want to be cautious and pre-shrink your cotton kitchen towels for that, so they don't draw up and everything ends up in a ball. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, that's very nice of you, Miss Patsy. I will put it aside for Miss Dana. In my bobbin, I use bobbin. Well, if I'm using white or black or gray, I use bobbin weight thread. I don't have bobbin weight thread in a ton of colors. So for like the back of that yellow towel and blue towel, I did use embroidery thread that matched just because it's what I had. I don't keep a ton of 60 weight thread in my stash in a variety of colors. Most of my 60 weight bobbin weight thread is black, white, cream, and natural. So I will pull a spool of isocord and run it in my bobbin if I don't have something that matches that towel. Okay. All right. Let me say, have a good day. I hope you had fun and learned a little bit of something here this morning. And if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to email or call. And I will see you for Breakfast Club next week. That we will be covering all the ways to gather. So we're going to talk about gathering on a sewing machine, gathering on a serger, using a basting stitch, using a gathering stitch, using foot 16, using foot number 3, and all sorts of things. So we're going to cover lots of ways to gather. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all soon. Thank you, everybody.